Lisa Martinez stood in the center of the massive chamber, feeling very small. The walls around her stretched up so high she could barely see the ceiling. Alien creatures filled hundreds of seats, all staring down at her with eyes that showed no kindness. Some had forearms, others had tentacles instead of faces. A few looked like giant insects with wings that buzzed softly in the quiet air. She was the only human in the room. Her simple blue uniform looked plain next to the colorful robes and metal armor worn by the other species. The translator device. In her ear crackled as voices from around the chamber spoke in languages she had never heard before. At the front of the room sat the most frightening alien of all. High Commander Vextal of the Zephyrian Empire was 12 feet tall with purple skin that seemed to glow in the dim light. His four eyes never blinked as they watched her. Sharp teeth showed when he opened his mouth to speak. "Human," Vextal said, his voice echoing through the chamber. "You stand before the Galactic Council as a representative of your primitive species. We have been patient with your kind for too long." Lisa kept her back straight and her voice steady. "Commander, humanity has done nothing wrong. We have followed all galactic laws. Our colonies are peaceful, and we trade fairly with other species." Several aliens made sounds that her translator could not interpret. Some seemed to be laughing, others hissed or clicked their tongues. Vextal raised one of his four hands and the room became silent again. "Your species takes up space that could be used by more advanced civilizations," he continued. "You spread across 12 star systems like a disease. Your technology is laughable. Your weapons are toys compared to what we possess." Lisa felt anger rise in her chest but forced herself to stay calm. "We have the right to exist. The Galactic Charter guarantees all species the right to expand and grow." "Rights?" Vextal stood up from his throne. "Rights are earned through strength. Your species has no strength worth mentioning." The alien commander pressed a button on his chair. The air in the center of the chamber began to shimmer and bend. Soon a holographic image appeared showing the vast emptiness of space. Lisa could see stars and planets floating in the darkness. "Behold," Vextal announced, "the power that will decide your fate." Something huge moved into view on the hologram. It was a weapon unlike anything Lisa had ever seen. The device was as large as a small moon, covered in strange metal that seemed to twist and move on its own. Energy crackled around its surface in colors that hurt to look at directly. "This is the reality fracture cannon," Vextal explained with obvious pride. "It took our greatest scientists 50 years to build. It can tear holes in the fabric of space itself. Nothing in the universe can stand against it." Lisa watched as the weapon began to charge. The energy around it grew brighter and more violent. Space itself seemed to bend and warp near the device. Then, with a flash that made the hologram flicker, a beam of twisted light shot out toward a small moon orbiting a distant planet. The moon did not explode. It did not burn or break apart. It simply stopped existing. One moment it was there, and the next moment there was only empty space. Not even dust remained to show where it had been. The chamber erupted in excited sounds from the alien audience. Lisa felt her knees go weak as she realized what she had just witnessed. The weapon had not just destroyed the moon, it had erased it from reality completely. "Impressive, is it not?" Vextal asked, clearly enjoying the fear he saw in Lisa's eyes. "Now imagine what this weapon could do to your precious Earth, or to any of your 12 colony worlds." Lisa found her voice again, though it came out smaller than she wanted. "What do you want from us?" "Simple," the alien commander replied. "Humanity will abandon 11 of your 12 worlds. You will keep only one small planet on the edge of galactic space. You will give up all claims to territory and resources. You will accept your place as a minor species under our protection. And if we refuse?" Vextal's four eyes gleamed with cruel amusement. "Then we will demonstrate the reality fracture cannon on each of your worlds, one by one, until you agree to our terms, starting with Earth." Lisa's hands formed fists at her sides. "The other species on the council will never allow genocide." Several aliens in the audience made sounds that her translator interpreted as laughter. Vextal gestured toward the seats around them. "Look around you, human. Do you see anyone objecting?" Your species has no allies here. You have no friends. You are weak and alone in a galaxy that has no use for weakness. The alien commander sat back down on his throne. You have 7 of your Earth days to deliver your answer. Gather your leaders. Discuss your options. But remember what you have. Seen here today. The reality fracture cannon is already moving toward your space. Refuse our generous offer and watch your species fade from existence. Lisa wanted to say something brave and defiant. She wanted to tell these aliens that humanity would never surrender. But the image of that moon simply vanishing from reality stayed in her mind. She had never felt so helpless in her life. I will deliver your message, she said quietly. Good, Vextal replied. Guards will escort you back to your ship. Think carefully about your choice, human. It may be the last choice your species ever makes. As alien guards led her from the chamber, Lisa could hear the voices of the council members behind her. They were already discussing how to divide up human territory among themselves. To them, humanity was already dead. But Lisa was not ready to give up. Somewhere in human space there had to be an answer. There had to be a way to fight back against this impossible weapon. She just had to find it before it was too late. Captain Jake Morrison sat in his command chair aboard the defense ship Defiant, watching the emergency broadcast from Earth. Lisa Martinez looked tired and scared as she spoke to the camera. Her words made his blood run cold. The Galactic Council has given us 7 days to surrender 11 of our 12 worlds, she said. They have a weapon that can erase matter from existence. I saw it destroy a moon completely. There was nothing left, not even dust. Jake turned to his communications officer. Send this message to all human ships and colonies. Tell them to prepare for evacuation but not to panic. We need time to think. Lieutenant Ben Clark, his second in command, shook his head. Captain, how do we fight something that can erase reality itself? Our plasma cannons and missile systems are toys compared to that. Jake stared out at the stars through the ship's main window. Somewhere out there, an alien weapon was moving toward human space. In 7 days it would start destroying everything humanity had built among the stars. I don't know, he admitted. But someone smarter than me better figure it out fast. Far, away on Earth in a small cabin in the mountains of Colorado, retired General Pete Collins was having the same thoughts. He had watched Lisa's broadcast 3 times, each viewing making him more worried. Something about the alien weapon bothered him, but he could not put his finger on what it was. Pete walked to his study and pulled out old books and files he had not touched in years. As a young officer, he had studied every war humanity had ever fought. He remembered reading about weapons projects from the early days of space colonization, back when humans first left Earth to settle other worlds. Those early colonists had faced many dangers. Pirates attacked trade ships. Hostile environments tried to kill settlers. Sometimes different human colonies even fought each other over resources. The weapons they built were simple but deadly effective. Pete found his old contact list and started making calls. The first person he reached was Dr. Amy Foster, a historian who specialized in military technology. She was working late at the University of Mars. Amy, this is Pete Collins. I need your help with something urgent. General Collins? I thought you were retired. I am. But humanity might not survive the week if we don't find an answer to this alien weapon. Can you meet me at the old research facility in Colorado? The one under Cheyenne Mountain? Amy was quiet for a moment. The classified archives? Pete, those files have been sealed for 200 years. Emergency powers. I still have some friends in high places. We need to look at humanity's old weapons projects, the ones they shut down. Why would old human weapons help us fight aliens with reality-bending technology? Pete looked out his window, at the night sky. Because sometimes the old ways are better than the new ways. Can you be here tomorrow? I'll catch the next transport. The next morning, Pete met Amy at the entrance to the underground facility. With them was Chief Engineer Carl Wright, a gruff man who had spent 30 years building and fixing human military equipment. This better be important, Pete, Carl said as they rode the elevator deep into the mountain. I was supposed to retire next month. Trust me, Carl, if this doesn't work, None of us will live to see retirement. The elevator stopped at a level marked with warnings in 5 different languages. The doors opened to reveal a long hallway lined with heavy security doors. Pete used his old general's access codes to open the first archive room. Inside were thousands of files, data chips, and old computer terminals. Dust covered everything. The air smelled stale and old. Amy sneezed as she picked up the first folder. "What exactly are we looking for?" she asked. "Weapons projects that were canceled not because they didn't work, but because they worked too well," Pete explained. "Things our ancestors thought were too brutal or dangerous to use. They spent hours going through files. Most contained boring technical reports or budget documents. But slowly, they began to find more interesting things." Amy discovered blueprints for something called the kinetic storm system. It was a series of magnetic rails that could accelerate metal slugs to incredible speeds. The slugs were just iron, but they traveled so fast they could punch through almost anything. "Look at this," she said, showing Pete the plans. They built prototype railguns that could fire projectiles at 15% of light speed. The military shut down the project because they said it was inhumane to vaporize enemy soldiers so completely. Carl found specifications for quantum entanglement mines. These devices could create loops in space-time that would trap enemy ships in repeating moments. A ship caught by one would live the same few seconds over and over until its power ran out. "Nasty stuff," Carl muttered. The ethics committee banned these because they thought it was torture to trap someone in a time loop. But the most interesting discovery came when Pete opened a file marked Project Hammer of God. Inside were plans for a weapon system that could turn a star's own energy into a directed beam. It would collect solar wind and cosmic radiation, then focus it into a beam powerful enough to melt planets. "This is it," Pete said, his voice filled with excitement. "This is how we fight back." Amy looked worried as she read the file. "Pete, this weapon was banned because it could accidentally cause stars to go supernova. One mistake and you could destroy an entire solar system. Sometimes you have to risk everything to save everything," Pete replied. "These aliens think they can scare us with their fancy reality weapon, but humanity has always been good at one thing, taking simple ideas and making them devastatingly effective." Carl was already studying the technical specifications. "The railgun system is the easiest to build. We could retrofit existing ships in a few days. But this Hammer of God project would take weeks, maybe months." "Then we better get started," Pete said. "Amy, I need you to contact every military historian you know. Carl, call your engineering teams. We're going to show these aliens that sometimes old iron beats new science." As they worked through the night, none of them noticed the small communications device in the corner of the room. It had been recording everything they said. Far away in space, alien ears were listening to every word. The battle for humanity's survival was about to begin, and both sides were preparing their weapons. Captain Jake Morrison watched his crew work faster than he had ever seen them move before. The Defiant was getting new weapons, but they looked nothing like the sleek plasma cannons and energy shields he was used to. Instead, his ship now carried long metal rails that stretched along the hull like old-fashioned train tracks. "Captain, the kinetic weapon system is ready for testing," Lieutenant Ben Clark reported. "Chief Engineer says the magnetic rails can accelerate iron slugs up to 15% light speed." Jake nodded, though he still had doubts about fighting aliens with what was basically a very large slingshot. "How many rounds do we have?" 2,000 iron slugs, sir. Each one weighs about 50 pounds. When they hit something at that speed, they should punch through just about anything." 3 days had passed since General Collins discovered the old weapon plans. Human shipyards across 12 worlds were working day and night to retrofit military vessels with kinetic systems. It was desperate work, but it was the only hope they had. Jake's communication screen buzzed with an incoming message. The face of Admiral Kate Sullivan appeared, looking tired but determined. "Jake, we just got word from our scouts near the New Colorado mining system. A Galactic Council patrol is moving through that sector. 3 cruisers and a destroyer. This is our chance to test these new weapons before the main alien fleet arrives." Jake felt his stomach tighten. "Admiral, are you sure about this? If the kinetic weapons don't work, we'll lose 4 ships and their crews. If we don't test them now, we'll lose everything when their reality fracture cannon gets here. Sullivan replied, "Take your squadron to New Colorado. Show these aliens what human ingenuity can do." An hour later, Jake's small fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel near the mining world of New Colorado. His ships looked strange with their new weapons. The magnetic rails stuck out from their hulls like long metal spines. The Defiant was joined by 3 other vessels: the Courage, the Resolute, and the Frontier. "Captain, I'm detecting the alien patrol," reported his sensor officer. "They're moving toward the mining stations. 4 ships, just like the Admiral said." Jake studied the tactical display. The alien ships were sleek and elegant, covered in the blue-white glow of energy shields. Their plasma cannons were already charging, ready to destroy anything that challenged them. "All ships, this is Morrison. Remember, these aliens expect us to fight with energy weapons. They've never seen kinetic projectiles before. Target their shield generators first, then their weapon systems. The alien commander must have detected the human ships because the council vessels changed course to intercept them." Jake could imagine the alien captain laughing at the primitive human technology. "Incoming transmission from the lead alien cruiser," his communications officer announced. Jake nodded. "Put it on screen." The alien that appeared looked similar to the ones Lisa had described from the Galactic Council. It had gray skin and large black eyes that showed nothing but contempt. "Human vessels, you are trespassing in Galactic Council space. Surrender immediately or be destroyed." Jake stood up from his command chair. "This is Captain Morrison of the Human Defense Fleet. New Colorado is a human colony under our protection. You are the ones trespassing here." The alien made a sound. That might have been laughter. "Your primitive weapons cannot harm our shields, human. This will be over quickly." "You're right about one thing," Jake said with a grim smile. "This will be over quickly. All ships, fire at will." The human ships opened fire at the same moment. Instead of bright energy beams, they launched simple iron slugs accelerated to incredible speeds. The projectiles were invisible to the naked eye, moving too fast for human senses to track. Jake watched his tactical screen as the slugs crossed the distance between the fleets in less than 2 seconds. The alien ships had raised their energy shields, expecting to absorb or deflect plasma beams like they had done countless times before. The iron slugs passed through the energy shields as if they were not there. The aliens had designed their defenses to stop energy attacks, not physical projectiles moving at 15% of light speed. The first alien cruiser shuddered as 3 iron slugs punched completely through its hull. The impacts created holes, the size of small cars, venting atmosphere and debris into space. The ship's elegant curves were ruined by jagged tears in its armor. "Direct hits on Target 1, Ben Clark reported with excitement in his voice. "Their shields didn't even slow down our projectiles." The second alien ship tried to turn away, but 2 more iron slugs caught it amidships. One projectile tore through the engine section, causing a massive explosion. The other destroyed the bridge, killing the crew instantly. Jake felt no joy at the destruction. These were living beings dying in the vacuum of space, but they had come here to destroy human colonies, and he would not let that happen. "Captain, the remaining alien ships are trying to flee," his sensor officer reported. "Don't let them escape. If even one gets away, they'll warn the main fleet about our new weapons." The human ships pursued the fleeing aliens. The kinetic weapons had one advantage over energy systems. They could fire continuously without overheating or running out of power. The magnetic rails used the ship's main reactor, which could operate for months without stopping. More iron slugs flew through space, catching the alien destroyer as it tried to reach faster than light speed. The projectiles tore apart its engines and left it drifting helplessly. The last cruiser managed to activate its emergency jump drive, but not before taking several hits that left it badly damaged. "All alien vessels neutralized," Ben Clark announced. "Minimal damage to our ships." Jake slumped back in his command chair, hardly believing what had just happened. 4 human ships armed with simple iron projectiles had destroyed a Galactic Council patrol in less than 5 minutes. "Send a message to Admiral Sullivan," he ordered. "Tell her the kinetic weapons work better than we hoped. The aliens have no defense against old-fashioned physics. As his ships moved to assist the damaged alien survivors, Jake thought about what this victory meant. Humanity had found a way to fight back against superior alien technology, but he also knew this was just the beginning. Somewhere in space, the reality fracture cannon was still moving toward Earth, protected by hundreds of warships. The real battle was yet to come. Admiral Kate Sullivan stood on the bridge of the battleship Retribution, watching the largest alien fleet humanity had ever seen approach through the asteroid belt. 200 Galactic Council warships moved in perfect formation toward Earth. At their center was the reality fracture cannon, a weapon the size of a small moon that could erase matter from existence. "Ma'am, long-range sensors show the alien fleet will reach Earth orbit in 6 hours," reported Commander Steve Parker. "The reality fracture cannon is charging its primary systems." Kate nodded grimly. This was it. Everything humanity had worked for in the past week came down to this moment. Hidden among the asteroids between Mars and Jupiter, her fleet of 60 human ships waited with their ancient weapons ready. "Signal from General Collins on Earth, Admiral," the communications officer announced. Pete Collins appeared on the main screen, standing in the underground command center beneath Cheyenne Mountain. Behind him, Dr. Amy Foster and Chief Engineer Carl Wright monitored dozens of screens showing weapon systems across human space. "Kate, the quantum entanglement mines are in position along the alien approach route," Pete reported. "Project Hammer of God is online and drawing power from 3 different solar collection stations. We're as ready as we'll ever be." "What about the kinetic systems?" Kate asked. Carl Wright stepped forward. "Every ship in your fleet has been fitted with magnetic railguns. We've also converted the asteroid mining equipment to military use. Those plasma cutters that slice up space rocks should work just fine on alien hulls." Kate felt a mixture of fear and pride as she looked at her fleet. Human ships had never been pretty. They were built for function, not appearance. Compared to the elegant alien vessels, they looked like flying scrapyards. But those ugly ships carried weapons that had already proven effective against Galactic Council technology. "Admiral, the aliens are hailing us," her communications officer reported. "Put High Commander Vextal on screen." The tall purple alien appeared, his 4 eyes gleaming with confidence. Behind him, the bridge of his flagship was filled with advanced technology that humanity could barely understand. "Admiral Sullivan, I remember you from the old conflicts. You were always a stubborn opponent, but today your stubbornness ends in death." Kate kept her voice steady. "Commander, you still have time to turn around, leave human space and never return. This is your only warning." Vextal made the sound aliens used for laughter. "Warning? You dare threaten me with your primitive fleet? I have 200 of the most advanced warships in the galaxy, plus a weapon that can tear reality itself apart. What do you have? 60 ships built from scrap metal?" "Sometimes scrap metal is all you need," Kate replied. The alien commander's expression grew serious. "I know about your victory at New Colorado. Simple kinetic weapons against patrol ships. But kinetic projectiles cannot harm the reality fracture cannon. It exists partially outside normal space-time. Your iron slugs will pass right through it." Kate smiled coldly. "We'll see about that." Vextal leaned forward in his command chair. "Humans have always been too proud for their own good. Today, that pride destroys your entire species. Reality fracture cannon, prepare to fire on the human fleet." The massive weapon began to charge, energy crackling around its twisted metal surface. Space itself seemed to bend near the device as it prepared to erase Kate's ships from existence. "All ships execute Plan Alpha," Kate ordered calmly. Suddenly, space around the reality fracture cannon filled with invisible mines. The quantum entanglement devices that Dr. Foster had discovered in the old archives activated all at once, creating loops in space-time around the alien superweapon. The reality fracture cannon fired its reality warping beam directly into the quantum field created by the mines. Instead of tearing apart human ships, the beam became trapped in recursive loops that fed back on themselves. The energy that was meant to destroy matter instead began consuming the weapon's own exotic matter core. "What is happening?" Vextal shouted as his superweapon began to shake and spark. "Simple physics," Kate replied. "Your fancy reality beam just got caught in a feedback loop. The more energy it puts out, the more it destroys itself. The reality fracture cannon exploded in a flash of twisted light that hurt to look at directly. The weapon that had taken 50 years to build destroyed itself in less than 5 minutes. Vextal's 4 eyes widened in shock and rage. Impossible. You cannot defeat superior technology with primitive tricks. Watch us, Kate said. All ships open fire. The battle that followed was unlike anything seen in galactic history. The alien fleet, built to fight other energy weapon civilizations, found themselves facing weapons they had never encountered before. Iron slugs accelerated to 15% of light speed, punched through alien energy shields and armor, as if they were made of paper. The magnetic railguns could fire continuously, sending clouds of projectiles across space faster than the aliens could react. Mining equipment converted to military use proved devastatingly effective. Plasma cutters designed to slice through. Asteroids carved alien ships in half. Ore collectors that could strip mine entire moons focused their beams on enemy vessels, melting through hulls in seconds. But the most impressive sight was Project Hammer of God coming online. Solar collectors throughout the inner solar system began channeling stellar energy toward focal points in space. The collected solar wind and cosmic radiation formed into beams of pure stellar fire that could vaporize alien ships instantly. This is impossible, Vextal repeated as his fleet began to fall apart around him. Our shields should stop all energy attacks. Your shields are designed to stop alien energy weapons, Kate explained as another group of council ships exploded under kinetic bombardment. But they can't stop simple iron moving really fast or mining lasers or concentrated starlight. The alien commander watched in horror as his advanced fleet was destroyed by weapons his people considered primitive. Ships that had conquered dozens of worlds were torn apart by technology that humans had used for centuries. Admiral, the alien flagship is trying to escape, Commander Parker reported. Kate watched as Vextal's ship attempted to flee toward the edge of the solar system. A simple iron slug, fired from the railgun of a human destroyer, caught the alien vessel in its engine section. The slug, weighing only 50 pounds but traveling at incredible speed, punched completely through the ship and out the other side. Vextal's flagship began to tumble helplessly through space, its engines destroyed by a projectile that would have been familiar to a human soldier from Earth's ancient wars. Signal the surviving alien ships, Kate ordered. Tell them to surrender or share their commander's fate. As the remaining Galactic Council vessels threw down their weapons, Kate felt a deep satisfaction. Humanity had faced extinction and survived, by remembering that sometimes the oldest solutions were the best ones. The galaxy's most advanced civilization had been defeated by iron, fire, and human determination. 3 months after the Great Battle, Lisa Martinez walked into the Galactic Council chamber once again. This time, everything was different. The same alien species filled the seats around her, but their eyes no longer showed contempt. Instead, she saw fear, respect, and careful attention as she moved to the center of the room. High Commander Vextal was not there. His flagship had been captured after the battle, and he was now a prisoner on a human colony world. In his place sat a smaller Zephyrian with nervous movements and worried expressions. Ambassador Martinez, the new Zephyrian leader said carefully, the Galactic Council recognizes the military victory of humanity over our combined fleets. We are here to discuss the terms of peace. Lisa smiled as she looked around the chamber. Many of the alien species that had laughed at her before now avoided her gaze. The ones with tentacles kept them pressed close to their bodies. The insect-like creatures had stopped buzzing their wings. The terms are simple, Lisa replied. Humanity will keep all 12 of our colony worlds. We will also claim salvage rights to the wreckage of your fleet, which is scattered across our solar system. Any species that threatens human colonies in the future will face the same fate as Vextal's ships. An alien with blue skin and too many arms raised one appendage nervously. Ambassador, surely you do not intend to threaten the entire galaxy with your primitive weapons. Primitive? Lisa laughed. Your reality fracture cannon was supposed to be the most advanced weapon ever built. Our primitive iron slugs tore through your fleet like it was made of paper. Maybe you should reconsider what you call primitive. Earth, General Pete Collins stood in his new office at Human Defense Command headquarters. The small cabin in the mountains was a distant memory. Now he commanded the largest military rebuilding project in human history. Dr. Amy Foster entered his office carrying a stack of reports. Her title was now Director of Applied Ancient Warfare, and she had teams of historians studying human military technology from every era. "Pete, the retrofit program is ahead of schedule," she announced. "Every ship in the human fleet now carries kinetic weapons. We've also finished converting mining equipment on 47 worlds to military specifications." "What about the new projects?" Pete asked. Amy's eyes lit up with enthusiasm. "The teams have found plans for something called the gravity hammer. It uses planetary mass to create artificial gravity wells that can trap enemy fleets. There's also a design for fusion torpedoes that use the same process as stars to create explosions." Pete nodded approvingly. "Good work. The galaxy needs to understand that humanity has more surprises in our history books." Chief Engineer Carl Wright knocked on the door and entered. He looked tired but satisfied with his work over the past months. "General, the Institute for Applied Ancient Warfare is ready for operation," he reported. "We've got teams studying everything, from Earth's first gunpowder weapons to the mining tools used by early colonists. Turns out our ancestors were very creative when it came to breaking things. Any word from Admiral Sullivan's exploration fleets?" Pete asked. Carl grinned. "She's having a lot of fun out there. Turns out other species are very eager to make friends with humans now. 3 different civilizations have asked for trade agreements. 2 others want to hire us as military advisors." Meanwhile, in the outer reaches of what used to be restricted galactic space, Admiral Kate Sullivan commanded a fleet of human ships as they explored new star systems. Her vessels looked even stranger now, covered with weapons that ranged from ancient to experimental. Captain Jake Morrison's ship Defiant flew alongside her flagship. His kinetic weapons had been upgraded with new targeting systems, but they still fired the same simple iron slugs that had won the first battle. "Admiral, we're approaching the Centauri Collective's home system," Jake reported over the communication channel. "They're hailing us with welcome messages." Kate smiled as she watched alien ships approach with their weapons powered down and their shields lowered. It was amazing how polite other species became when they knew you could punch holes through their ships with simple metal. "Jake, remember when we thought plasma cannons and energy shields were the peak of military technology?" she asked. "Seems like a lifetime ago, Admiral. Now half our weapons would be recognized by soldiers from Earth's ancient wars." The Defiant's railguns were still the ship's primary weapons, but Jake had also added quantum entanglement mines, converted mining lasers, and a prototype gravity hammer to his arsenal. His ship looked like a museum of human warfare spanning thousands of years. Back on Earth, in the underground facility where everything had started, a group of young military engineers studied the old archives with new appreciation. They were the next generation of human warriors, trained to look backward through history to find solutions for future problems. One of them, Lieutenant Sarah Davis, found a file that made her laugh out loud. It contained plans for something called a kinetic bombardment system that would drop simple metal rods from orbit onto enemy positions. "Look at this," she told her teammate, Lieutenant Mark Thompson. "Our ancestors wanted to fight wars by dropping metal sticks from space. The aliens would never expect something so simple." Mark studied the plans with interest. "Simple, cheap, and probably devastating. I think our ancestors understood something the rest of the galaxy forgot." "What's that?" "Sometimes the best way to solve a complex problem is to hit it with something very simple, moving very fast." Across human space, colony ships protected by escorts armed with ancient weapons spread out to claim new worlds. The ships carried families and farmers, scientists and engineers, all protected by weapons that would have been familiar to their ancestors. The galaxy had learned an important lesson. Technology could be overcome by creativity. Complex systems could be defeated by simple solutions. And humanity, with its long history of warfare and innovation, had both in abundance. In the end, the species that had dismissed humans as primitive learned that sometimes being primitive meant being practical. And in a universe full of complex problems, practical solutions often worked better than sophisticated ones. The age of human expansion had begun, built on the foundation that the old ways were sometimes the best ways.